You want to know what real nerve looks like? Picture this. I walk into my own workshop thinking maybe I left the radio on or forgot to close the door, only to find Karen, vice president of the HOA from 3 streets over, sitting in my favorite recliner with her shoes off, drinking my coffee, scrolling through Pinterest on her iPad like she booked the place for a weekend getaway. For a second, I honestly thought maybe I'd wandered into someone else's shed, but nope, those were my tools, my bikes, my workbench. And there she was, acting like she owned the place. So I ask her, "What the hell are you doing in here?" And she just smiles at me like I'm a confused customer at a mall kiosk and says, "Oh, just checking on the property. You know the HOA believes this space might actually fall under community maintenance." Then she kicked her feet up on my vintage Harley frame like it was a folding ottoman and took another sip. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec. My place is on the edge of the neighborhood, technically grandfathered in before the HOA gobbled up the surrounding lots, so I'm not legally part of their little kingdom, but that's never stopped them from trying. The whole saga really started 3 months back when I put up a keypad-locked gate with a big old sign, "Private Property, Do Not Enter." I was just tired of joggers cutting through my driveway and tired of Karen's Saturday clipboard patrols pretending to care about my renovations. Naturally, the new gate made Karen nuts. She started with notes in my mailbox, friendly at first, then more official. But none of those notices had any teeth, and I ignored them all, figuring she'd get bored and find someone else's rose bushes to harass. Instead, she found a path through the woods behind my property and let herself in one sunny morning. I'd stepped out for coffee and donuts, was looking forward to sanding down my old Norton Commando in peace, and I come back to Karen acting like I was the one intruding. The thing that really got me. She sees my box of donuts and goes, "Oh, I hope you brought enough for both of us." No, I did not laugh. I told her flat and calm this was private property and she had no right to be there. She just tilted her head all smug and goes, "Actually, we're still determining that. The HOA legal team is reviewing some records. She tried to claim my workshop was once a utility structure and could be shared space. I could feel my blood pressure spiking, but I stayed cool, told her, I've got every deed survey and blueprint from before the HOA was a twinkle in anyone's eye." Didn't matter. Karen was out for conquest, not facts. She stands up, starts pointing at things like a realtor. "That window's cracked. That bench isn't OSHA compliant. This area should be locked up when not in use." She actually suggested board members should have access for emergencies. I asked what kind of emergencies required them to use my welder or recliner. She just smirked. At that point, I told her firm, no more jokes to get out. She crossed her arms, sat back down, and said she wasn't leaving until the HOA sorted it out. I nearly called the police, but then pictured her sobbing about being misunderstood and spinning it like I was the bad guy. No, I needed something she couldn't twist. So I texted Dave, old friend, king of petty revenge, asked if he had any bricks left from his pool house project, and if he could bring his cement mixer. His response, "Just a thumbs up, and you want me to ask questions now or later?" That's Dave for you. We got to work that afternoon while Karen camped in my recliner calling her HOA minions. We marked a line about 4 feet inside the front door and started building a brand new wall. No warning, no more words. I was done talking. The plan was simple. Wall off the front of the workshop. Leave Karen with a chair, power outlet, snacks, water, and make it look like nothing changed from the outside. I recorded the whole thing because, receipts. Dave laughed the entire time, laying mortar like we were building the Great Wall of Stupid. Karen finally looks up halfway through and asks, "What are you doing?" I tell her. "Just making some adjustments." She scoffs, goes back to scrolling. By nightfall, the wall was done. We even left a vent and a peephole for her. I taped a note. "You wanted to stay. Enjoy. I'll check on you tomorrow." That night, I watched the security footage. She didn't scream or panic, just paced, called someone, tried the door, then started yelling. I muted her. It was peaceful. The next morning, I grabbed coffee and strolled over. Through the vent, I hear Karen trying every trick in the book. Legal threats, guilt trips, pure rage. I tapped the wall. "Good morning, sunshine. How was your stay at Chateau Trespass?" She threatened lawsuits. I just let her stew. Meanwhile, I backed up all my footage, printed every deed, every map, every permit. I was ready for the cops. Sure enough, by noon, 2 officers showed up. Officer Briggs had that I've seen it all look. I handed him my paperwork and the security footage. The younger cop watched a few clips, shook his head and goes, "You built a whole wall around her," I said. "Thought it was poetic." Briggs almost laughed. They checked on Karen, made sure she was physically fine. She was just red-faced and furious. Then let her out the side entrance. She stormed off, vowing legal action, iPad clutched like a shield. Briggs says, "You'd be amazed how often we deal with her. You might have just set a new record." Dave showed up right after, saw the missing bricks and shouted, "You let her out already?" I said. "Don't worry, the fun's just started." And it did. The story leaked. Someone on the HOA board sent out the footage. It hit Facebook, Instagram, then Reddit. People were loving it. #workshop Karen was trending in town. Karen posted a 700-word meltdown on Nextdoor, calling it architectural aggression. I screenshotted every word for posterity. Then came the internal HOA attack. 2 board members in business suits showed up, served me a letter, claiming they'd annex my property and citing me for endangerment. I almost laughed in their faces. I called my cousin Danny, she's a land use lawyer, sent her everything. She called back wheezing with laughter. Turns out HOA has 0 power to annex anything without county approval, and my property's pre-1985 never opted in. Karen's whole plan, smoke and mirrors. Danny spots something else 15 feet of the HOA's office building, including their server room, sat on the lot I'd quietly bought 6 months earlier. Yeah. While Karen was drafting up workshop acquisition plans, I owned the ground beneath her bureaucracy. I made a website, The Workshop Saga, posted all the docs, the story, and a big red arrow on the plat map showing illegal occupation. It spread like wildfire. A retired judge down the street emailed me, "They breathe another word. I'll see them in court pro bono." Karen came back with a camera crew trying to spin herself as a victim. I just held up a laminated sign, "I own the land under your server room." The video went viral. Someone set it to dramatic music. Board members started to flip. The town hall meeting became a circus standing room, only people spilling out the door. Karen Pink Blazer launches into a speech about shared community spaces, never says my name, but everyone knows. She calls for a vote to annex the ambiguous properties. I stand up, room goes dead quiet, and pass out deeds, plat maps, emails showing her trying to redraw the lines behind everyone's back. Board goes silent, then votes to suspend Karen pending an investigation. 5 in favor. She storms out without a word. I update the website, workshop secured, HOA contained. Over the next week, the fallout's everywhere. Local news runs stories about HOA overreach, memes pop up with Karen's face on a medieval castle wall. The HOA board apologizes, repeals half their nonsense fines, and opens meetings to the public. For the first time in years, the neighborhood actually feels like, well, a neighborhood again. But Karen's not done. She slinks off to another community, tries her luck with a new HOA word, as she's told there are no open positions. Her reputation's become a cautionary tale. Me, I mount the first brick from our wall on a plaque above my workshop door in grateful memory of HOA Karen's temporary residence. May she never return. Even the UPS guy takes a selfie with it. Then for good measure, I throw a block party. Dave grills burgers in an apron that says brick by brick. Neighbors tell their own HOA horror stories. For once, everyone laughs instead of gritting their teeth. As the sun sets, I tell the crowd, the wall wasn't just bricks. It was all of us finally saying no to nonsense. Everyone cheers. That night, I sit on the porch with a Scotch workshop lights humming and feel like peace is finally back. You know, folks still ask me if I regret any of it. Truth is, I don't. Sometimes the only way to stop a bully is to build a wall, paper, brick, or just the guts to say enough. So tell me, was I wrong? Or just the first guy willing to stand up? Drop your take. Below, what would you have done if Karen barged into your life? Is there ever such a thing as too much revenge? Or does justice just take a little creative construction?